What is up, everybody? It's I Do It Barber here with a tutorial, a more official tutorial. I've done one on YouTube before, but it wasn't as formal as this video here with all the editing and whatnot. But these are the tools of the job. You see my Super ZR. I'm using the blades OA through the 3 3/4. Got my Sanvia 7-inch shears, my thin-inch shears, YS Park comb. Didn't use that clip to section the hair off. Using Layrite cement to style the hair, and of course I've got my Slimline Pro Elize, and I'm using my razor. So I'm starting off now, wetting the top of the hair, basically to help me section the hair off and keep it in place while I actually begin the fading process. So right now I'm just analyzing the hair, combing it in place where I want it, and now I have my OA blade on, and I'm creating my first guide. Now, I will say this video is not for beginners. Beginner barbers, I'll say that. But beginner barbers are welcome to watch this video because you could learn anything, anywhere. And when I say that it's not for beginners, it's because most beginners do not know how to fade with blades. Most beginners, for that matter, don't have blades. And I'm also fading down. I won't be fading up. I won't be fading with any guidelines. So that's why I say this video is not for a beginner. But creating a first guide with the OA. And as you can see, when I created that line, it almost looked like there was no hair there, but there's actually hair. You'll see later that I'll be able to put a line on. So now I'm with my 3 3/4 blade, which is equivalent to about a 4 guard. If you guys want to, I'll try and keep you guys abreast on the equivalence from the blades to the guard. So now I'm just removing bulk. I'm taking down the bulk with the 3 3/4 blade. Now I'm not digging into the head. Once I get up to the ridge, I'm just basically going up. You can see by the motion of the clippers, I'm not digging into the head. I'm basically going up once I reach the ridge. Now this haircut's tricky because his hair doesn't project out. It lays flat to his scalp. So now I have my 3 3/4 blade, and I'm going, it's basically same thing. I'm going about 1/2 inch below that 3 3/4 area that I did before. And again, I'm just going straight up. I'm not digging into the head, because once you start digging, that's when you start creating lines when you fade down. Now, don't be afraid if you do fade down and you see a line. Just pick up the next guard above and then just knock it out. So now I slap my 2 blade on, and same thing as I did with 3 1/2. I'm basically just going 1/2 inch under, going straight up. I'm not necessarily flicking out, because as you can see, the way I fade, I spin the chair and do the entire head, and then I'll switch blades. I'll do one side and one side, and then I'll switch blades. So I don't do, like, I don't fade 50-50 or section the hair off when I'm fading. So as you can see, so now I have the 1 1/2. You can't really see. I tried to show you what blade I'm using, but the light casts too much glare on the blade. But this is a 1 1/2. So I'm again going right below that 2 blade, and as you can see, you know, there's some areas where you kind of create a little bit of a line, but like I say, that's no problem when you're fading down. All you do is just strap on the higher blade and go up a little bit into it, and then that line will come right out. So I'm just basically fading. You can see I'm angling the clipper, and I'm basically just going above. So now you see I just slapped on my 2, and I'm going back up. I was just cleaning up some of that I created a line with. Now the blade I have on there now is a 1A, so now I'm just lightening up the line that we created with the OA. And for the most part, what I'm doing through this part of the fading action is I'm using the entire blade. I'm not necessarily using corners through a lot of this. I'm using the full blade. Now the 1A blade, it's really forgiving. It complements the 1 1/2, because what it does is it lightens up the 1 1/2, and it doesn't. You could dig in with the 1 1/2. I'm not gonna recommend that, but what I'm saying is it won't really leave a line because it's more forgiving. And see here now, I slap back on my 1 1/2. Just saw something, things I need to clean up. You can see there I'm cleaning up, and I got my 1 1/2 on, and this is gonna happen when you're fading down. Now you have 2 options. You can clean up as you go, or you can just set your fade in there and then come back and detail later. And as you can see, I got my 1 here. Now this is where I'm going to use my corners, because the 1 blade is unforgiving, unlike the 1A that is forgiving, because the OA and the 1 blade are very sharp. and the hair will come right off if you go in too crazy with the one or an OA blade. So here I'm using my corners and I'm removing that line that I created with the OA. So see, now here I'm just taking down some of the bulk here in his crown area, basically connecting that 3 3/4 blade to the top. So now I'm coming back, I'm trying to manipulate his hair just to see how I want it. And he basically wanted his hair cut down quite a bit, about half the length, but he wanted it to graduate from short in the back to longer in the front. So right now I'm just creating my guideline, or my guide really, and that's where I'm going to work from. And this is also why I say this video is not really for beginners, because I'm really all over the place. And for those experienced barbers out there, once you learn how to cut hair, and you see here I'm connecting the back with or the sides with the top. Once you know what you're doing in barbering, you can really just cut however you want. You don't have to necessarily stick to a certain system. You just know how to cut hair at that point. You're just cutting hair. It's not necessarily that you have to stick with a certain fading system or whatever. If you know how to fade, you know how to fade. You know how to cut hair, you know how to cut hair. It's not necessarily you sticking to the system. So now I'm just over directing the hair backwards to create that forward motion where it graduates from shorter to longer in the front. So as you can see, I'm over directing the hair backwards to create that motion. As you can see, his hair is kind of curly. Like if you see here, when I separate some of his hair, like his hair curls, and I guess that's just the Cuban in him. So now I'm just connecting the sides with the top again. Typically I would cut down the length on the top of the head first and then connect the sides with the top, but for some reason I just decided to connect as I go along. So as you can see, I cut the length of the hair throughout on the top, and then I went back and did it that way. It's just one of those things, no rhyme or reason. So now I'm just basically cutting down the length on the top, and now I'm point cutting the top. I blunt cut it first, but now I'm point cutting the top just to create some movement, a little bit of texture on the tips of his hair. And now I'm coming in with my thinning shears, and there's many different ways you could use a razor. You know, you can use your scissors if you want, but I'm just coming in here with the thinning shears, and I'm feeling his hair out. And you didn't see it, but I did feel his hair out just to see what areas are more dense than the others, because on the sides of his hair is not dense. He has about a medium, in between a fine and a medium hair texture, I should say. But on the top, his hair is very dense and it's more coarse than the sides. So I'm having to take off quite a bit of length. You can see here as I'm coming through with the thinning shears, taking away a lot of that bulk. And now I'm putting the side part in. I cut his hair, and this is actually my buddy. He came here and we recorded this on Thanksgiving. So I'm giving him a Thanksgiving cut before everyone comes over and we have dinner and hang out and stuff. So I cut his hair in Florida because I was in Florida last month, and I used a 1 as my guide, and he said he wanted a little bit shorter, so that's why I went with the OA. So now I'm coming in, I'm just lining up the back, just getting this out of the way so I don't have to worry about this later. And typically this is what I do especially when I'm doing like a straight hair client where it's a comb over, a pompadour, or just any type of look on top. I'll fade the sides and I'll line up the back immediately just so I'm done with it. I don't have to see it again. That's just me. But now I'm just coming in here, doing this side of the line, and you can see right there the corner of his front of his hairline. He's real light right there. He's thinning on both sides, and you'll see on the other side too whenever we get there. But just keeping it real simple with the line, nothing too crazy. He likes his to come down to points. It's very simple. You know, I'm gonna come back and detail with the razor. This haircut, it's not difficult, but it can be for the beginner. You know, this isn't a bald fade. This is the shadow look. He doesn't like to go that bald. So now I slapped on my OA because his hair right there at the temple area is more dense than other parts of his hair. So I had to make sure I knocked down the hair a little bit more. And as you can see, I'm lining up his other side, keeping it real simple. And of course, you know, I set the fade in there now, but I'm still going to go back and detail some of his fade, just because I've seen some things later, and I go back in later and touch that up. I didn't want to focus too much on the fade now. So as you can see here, slap back on my 3 3/4 blade, just basically coming up, you know, just going straight up, same thing as before, straight up, not digging, and I'm just basically cleaning up what I see. Now I could use the scissors for this, or a clipper over comb. I just chose to use that method. So now I got the 3 1/2 on, and that's one thing you'll notice about my videos and the way I fade. I'll use different techniques at different times. You've seen barbers use different things in different techniques, but I have many different techniques that I use when I'm fading, and that's what I think you guys will like about this channel, because you'll see me use different techniques. I'll use different styles of fading, and also I fade primarily with the blades. So I know a lot of barbers on YouTube do not fade with the blades. A lot of barbers don't even know how to fade with blades. So that's one good thing about this channel, and definitely subscribe if you're looking to learn more like this. So now I'm looking actually through the viewfinder of the camera to see what's going on. And that's the funny thing, doing this cut here is, you know, not in the barber shop or anything, but it's really hard to get that full view. I don't have a mirror, you know. Of course I forgot my LED ring light, but sometimes you don't get the right perspective that you're looking for, like in a barber shop. Like cuts like these are much easier for me in the barber shop because it's quicker, the chair rises more, it's just more appropriate, the lighting, you know, everything's just different in the barber shop. And actually it's funny, I haven't cut hair. This is my first haircut I've done in probably like a month, so I'm a little bit rusty on this cut too. So now, okay, so right here I've got my 1 1/2. And you saw that angle that I was just using. I was basically using that as like a texturing type of maneuver where it thins out some of the hair, but it doesn't take too much bulk off. So now I sprayed not water, alcohol and sea breeze. I could have used shave gel, but a lot of times, like when I'm trying to be quick and I'm in a hurry, I'll just use either water or I'll use alcohol or sea breeze. I usually keep an alcohol sea breeze mix. So here I'm just defining his line with the razor, keeping it real simple, not doing too much extra. I'm not pushing it back crazy. And as you can see here, I'm coming over the ear, and that's one thing barbers definitely detail your work around the ear, especially when you line someone up that likes to have some sort of shadow fade, or even just a taper, or even all over. Definitely line up around the ears. That's one thing clients will like. That's one thing that'll get you paid a lot more money, attention to detail, and it just makes you a better barber, really, just to be honest with you. So now I'm doing the next shave portion. I sprayed more alcohol sea breeze mix on there, just give me a little bit of lubrication. I just didn't want to use a shave gel because it's a little bit messy sometimes, and like I said, I'm doing this at home. So now styling the top. Now with the styling of the top of his hair, he wears hats all the time, guys, all the time. So he never styles his hair. So what I did was I created a shorter style for him, and I'm styling his hair like this on purpose because he wants more of a messy look. He wears hats. He really doesn't care what his hair looks like because he wears hats all the time, and he wears glasses. You can probably see that indentation in his temple area where he wears his glasses, and that tan line goes all the way to the back because he's always wearing glasses and hats. So I'm styling his hair like this just to show him that he can do this at home. He could use his wife's blow dryer and just style it messy. Just blow, you know, he can just style it by hand. You don't need a vent brush or anything like that because, well, I'm sure his wife has one, but I know he doesn't have one. So I'm just showing him that, hey, he can style this at home and keep it simple for himself if he wants to style his hair in the future. And of course, with his hair being shorter, it helps him style his hair because more guys are afraid to style their hair when their hair is really long. They don't know what to do. So I'm lining up the front, keeping it simple, lay right cement. Now I'm gonna apply the product, and I'm gonna style his hair. So I'm basically just getting it all throughout his hair. I wanna get all of that product in his hair. And I'm basically just playing with his hair at the moment. I'm just trying to shape it into something that I would like. You know, of course, I'm applying it on the sides, applying it in the back, but I'm just, you know, just playing with his hair, just teasing it, flirting with the hair. You know, it's just that's the part with a great haircut. You have to have a great finish too. It's not just a good fade. You actually have to finish the style. So it's not just like me slapping some product in his hair, swiping it to the side and just saying, go ahead, have a nice day. No, you have to finish the style and give the complete look, and that's the look. So let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like and subscribe this video. There's more coming from this channel. I'm excited. I'm out.